Welcome FPL managers, my name's FPLPlug and in today's video we're going to be going over the transfer targets going into Game Week 9, how Game Week 8 went, our reaction to that, which players we might want to be getting rid of, and especially thinking about planning on that Game Week 12 wildcard, looking at the clean sheet odds for this week and all things in between. Right then, let's kick off with our reaction to Game Week 8. So we actually had quite a decent game week this week. We got 42 points with a game week rank of around 3 million. And that takes us to an overall rank of around just under 1.1 million when we were just over 1.2 million. So a decent game week, but it could have gone a little bit better, but we also did get unlucky in other areas. So firstly, stars of the game week, Mo Salah with 12 points, a goal and an assist. You cannot complain whatsoever there. That's why we held on to him, because he was a better asset than Palmer in this game. And Liverpool are looking generally really good. So any game that Salah is playing, he's very likely to get some sort of return. And then Gvardiol with that absolute banger from outside of the box with 10 points. Just the goal. Obviously quite unlucky again really to not get a clean sheet. And then looking just at the back line here, Raya and Gabriel, again the double Arsenal defence has really done me badly. Obviously, Gabriel, I think, is an amazing pick in FPL, but Raya may have possibly been a mistake. Someone like Pickford could have been a better pick in hindsight. But overall, I'm not too annoyed about that Arsenal defence. However, their fixtures are looking really hard in the upcoming games. I believe Saliba's out for one game, so the Liverpool game, which isn't an amazing game for them anyway, but I would have probably played Gabriel in this game, especially if Saliba was in the team. But now Saliba's not in the team, I may just bench Gabriel. Robinson, a pretty disappointing performance, but Semenyo only got one more point than him. And that was a very lucky clean sheet point against Arsenal. So not too bothered about my choice there. But Pedro Porro, very disappointing performance from him. Once again, he's creating good XG, but not finishing anything off and not getting any assists. They did score 4. Pedro Porro did absolutely nothing, and we'll get on to Solanke. But I'm okay keeping Porro for next week. They've got Crystal Palace, so we'll give him one more chance. Moving on to the midfield, Smith Rowe, fairly disappointing, but we can't expect too much out of him every week. Morgan Rogers, though, is doing the absolute business in that Aston Villa team with a goal. Yes, he got a yellow card and didn't get any bonus points because Aston Villa did quite well. But Morgan Rogers, for the price that he is almost absolutely essential. Then Brian Mbeumo could have probably got a little bit more. It wasn't a bad fixture for them against Man United. But Brian Mbeumo has been returning in basically every single game week, so we can let him have a day off. Definitely not going anywhere in my team. Pretty much essential still. Then moving on to the forward line, the absolute frauds, Haaland and Solanke. So Haaland I did captain this week and he blanked once again. I think he's really going to have to be on fraud watch along with Solanke. So Haaland isn't looking as good without KDB and without Rodri in the team, although he has just scored 2 goals in the Champions League, which were fantastic goals, by the way. So he obviously still is an elite finisher, and that is why he needs to be on a team, especially for these easy games such as Southampton at home. But he's definitely on fraud watch. And Solanke, wow, 4 goals and no involvements whatsoever. He basically played a full 90, if not the full 90. And just to come away with 2 points from that game is really poor from a 7.5 million asset. So he does need to start scoring goals for me. And if he doesn't, then he may not be in my Game Week 12 wildcard. But speaking of that Game Week 12 wildcard, I want to look at one team in particular and which players we should be looking at from that team who have a really solid run of games from now, Game Week 9, all the way up until about Game Week 18. And even from then, it looks pretty decent. And that team is, of course, Wolves. So they've got Brighton, yes, this week in Game Week 9. But then they have Crystal Palace, Southampton at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester and Man United. All the way up until Game Week 18, that is. And that's basically all the way through the Christmas period. So the players that I would want to be looking for, or you guys to look at from that Wolves team, my top 3 are Eight Nori probably as my first pick, then Strand Larsen maybe. Strand Larsen and Cunha for me are two of the best players from that Wolves team, however are very evenly matched. I think Strand Larsen with him being so cheap, he's very much worth the money and can fit in most teams and structures. However, Cunha is a little bit more expensive, but maybe a slightly better asset. Yes, he did get taken off early last game, but I don't really expect that to become a trend. And he does have penalties, and his non-penalty expected goals is actually slightly better than Larsen's. So obviously, if you want the stability and probably the more likelihood of getting an attack in return, then Cunha probably is your man. However, Strand Larsen, for the price, I think is an absolutely great pick, and I personally am looking at getting him in, especially in that Game Week 12 wildcard, but maybe even sooner. But now let's take a look at my most useful bit of information that I come across on Twitter. Again, check out RobTFPL over on Twitter if you do want to see this graphic for yourself. But here are the projected goals and clean sheets for every team in the Premier League for this week. So again, top in the charts majorly is Manchester City for projected goals scored and also clean sheet odds. They're 50% likely to keep a clean sheet against Southampton at home, and also looking like they're going to score around 3 goals in that game. So yes, Haaland has been blanking recently, but no chance in hell will I be dropping Haaland before a Southampton at home game when they're expected to score 3 goals. He's definitely in my team and he will definitely be my captain. There is a shout to look at triple captain, and he did obviously score twice in the Champions League. However, I'm not sure the team is set up right now for Haaland to score all the goals, because obviously they won 5-0 tonight and 3 other people got the goals as well. So usually we're used to Haaland getting all the goals for Man City, especially when KDB's on the pitch and Rodri as that anchor. So for me, Haaland triple captaincy is going to have to wait until later down the line, but Haaland captaincy I don't think is a bad effort, but a bad shout, because he definitely could go and get those high scores, especially against the Southampton team. However, I don't think it's likely enough for me to use the triple captaincy chip. Some other noteworthy predictions here are the projected goals for Chelsea. So they're looking at just over 2 projected goals against Newcastle. So it's looking quite good. If you were looking to bring in Palmer for these next couple of games and beyond, then I don't think it's a bad shout. We'll talk about my transfer plans in a little bit. And I think Palmer, for me, would be top of those transfer plans, even in any team. Unless you already have Palmer, I feel like he's a great option, especially if you're going down from Saka, slightly up from Saka. If you have the money to go up, I would definitely be doing that with Saka's injury and also fixtures coming up. Although it is worth noting that Arteta did say that Saka is likely not to get into the team, so he probably will be getting into the team. But a game against Liverpool isn't great, and then they don't have great fixtures after that for the next 2. But a team that continue to be up at the top of the charts for clean sheet odds is Nottingham Forest. They obviously have Leicester away this week, so not a bad opportunity for another possibly 0-0 draw or Chris Wood scores. Chris Wood, again, is looking really good. Probably not quite for this week, but a defender, someone like Aina, is looking really solid as an asset in FPL right now and also going forwards. Yes, he's a slight, maybe Nottingham Forest is more of a short-term punt because their fixtures do get slightly worse after about game week 12. But again, if you're wildcarding in game week 12, you can afford to take those punts on, say, Nottingham Forest defenders and then just take them out in game week 12. And last but not least, let's take a look now at my game week 9 team going into the game week without any transfers. So in goal, we've obviously got Raya and then Gvardiol and Gabriel and Pedro Porro. As you can see here, Fantasy Football Hub is wanting me to bench Robinson ahead of Pedro Porro, even though they have the same predicted points. I think Pedro Porro definitely does have the better opportunity for points, I would say. And then someone like Smith Rowe or Semenyo could be a shout to be benched, but I just like their attacking output or their attacking potential slightly more than someone like Anthony Robertson. And then we've got Salah, who doesn't have a great fixture, and Buemo with a really strong fixture. Rodgers, Haaland with probably the best fixture out of anyone could possibly have. and then Solanke with a decent fixture himself. So I think I've got a really big decision on whether I want to drop Mohamed Salah down to Palmer, because that's definitely the easiest way of doing things. Get rid of Haaland, or just roll the free transfer, take 4 into game week 10, and then see where we land there. But make sure you drop me a subscribe on YouTube and also a follow over on TikTok, because that is where I will post my completed finished team going into game week 9 if you want to keep up to date with my team. But if you're still here, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video, and drop down in the comments section any transfer dilemmas that you might have going into game week 9, and I'll see where I can help.